Happy Friday, Muskies. Thanksgiving is just 6 days away. I'm Amira Savani.
And I'm Nick Bergman. This is Xavier News.
From the Xavier University Television Studio, this is Xavier News.
Late last night, an armed shooter entered Florida State University's library, where about 450 students were studying for their midterms. 3 students were shot, and the shooter was shot and killed by the police during an exchange outside the library. The shooter was found to be 31-year-old Myron May. After going through his personal belongings, including his personal journal, police found that he believed that the government was following him and had cameras tracking him. Police Chief Michael DeLeo says, quote, "Based on our initial review of the documents and his videos and his postings, it's clear that Mr. May's sense of being and place in our community was not what most people would refer to as normal. He had a sense of crisis and he was searching for something," end quote. Currently, 1 person is in critical condition, 1 is in good condition, and 1 person has been released. Florida State University canceled classes yesterday, but resumed earlier today.
In Ferguson, Missouri, the community awaits the decision of a grand jury about whether or not to indict Officer Darren Wilson on the August 9th killing of teenager Michael Brown. The decision is expected to come at any day. The governor of Missouri declared a state of emergency on Monday ahead of a grand jury announcement, which authorizes him to mobilize the National Guard. On Tuesday, the governor named his Ferguson Commission, 16 citizens tasked with finding solutions to problems like poverty, education, and policing, which have fueled demonstrations. The governor said on Tuesday, quote, "I'm not prepared for war, I'm prepared for peace," end quote. The focus of advocates throughout the week was on the governor's decision to declare a state of emergency and activate the National Guard, which is criticized by many protest organizers as provocative. After months of mostly peaceful gatherings the governor's steps are reminders of the street battles following Brown's death. A state of emergency was declared back then. Today, police are supposedly committing to having a softer approach while insisting that violence will not be tolerated. Tensions remain high in Ferguson this week, with the highly anticipated announcement from the grand jury expected to come at any day, with the protesters eagerly awaiting what they hope is justice for Michael Brown.
Buffalo, New York has been under intense winter storm warning after over 6 feet of snow fell earlier this week. As of now, approximately 10 people have died from the storm exposure. Many people are not able to find shelter and have been staying in the fire station. The fire trucks are unable to leave the station because they've been snowed in. Some firefighters and medics have tried using snowmobiles and ATVs in order to help out homes where the roofs couldn't handle the weight of all the snow. Ray Sanchez of CNN says, quote, "Back at the fire station, driver Steve Randall's truckload of milk and eggs has served as the main source of provisions. Randall said he was stuck in his truck for nearly 5 hours before making his way to the firehouse, where people have been sleeping on tables to stay off the cold floor."
Inside a synagogue in Jerusalem on Tuesday, 2 Palestinians entered with cleavers, knives, and a gun. 7 people are now dead, 3 of which were rabbis. Additionally, 3 of the killed were Americans. This is the deadliest single attack in 6 years and comes at a time of already high tensions. For the first responders who arrived, it looked like the definition of terrorism. Police arrived on the scene minutes after the men had shot and stabbed 4 people to death. In exchange of fire, 1 policeman was shot and injured, later dying, before both gunmen were killed. Inside the synagogue, around 24 men had been praying when the 2 Palestinian men attacked them with axes, butcher's knives, and a pistol. There was panic as police rapidly searched for other gunmen. One of the dead, Rabbi Moshe Twersky, was the son of a renowned Boston rabbi. Rabbi Mark Penner of Yeshiva University said, quote, "The death of someone who had such a significant rabbinic role was connected to so many rabbis around the world is going to send shockwaves throughout the entire Jewish world," end quote. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to respond with what he called a heavy hand. Israel has ordered that the homes of the killers be destroyed. When police arrived to the homes of the 2 killers, clashes ensued between the Palestinians and the police. This may mean much more retaliation to come. The killers were cousins from East Jerusalem. Their family mourned as some Palestinians celebrated, hailing them as heroes. The attack indicates a sharp religious edge to the long political conflict in the region, as well as an indication that this could be building to a third major Palestinian uprising. Tensions remain extremely high in the region, and this attack may have set something in motion.
Award-winning director Mike Nichols died on Wednesday at the age of 83. Nichols, director of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and The Graduate, was extremely influential in the entertainment business. Dustin Hoffman remembered Nichols at an American Film Institute tribute, saying, quote, "And so I thank you for casting this short 29-year-old unknown actor with a prominent nose to play Benjamin Braddock. God bless you, sir. You're more than a great director. You're a real artist down to your toes because you're insanely courageous," end quote. Nichols studied acting in New York and enjoyed doing stand-up in college.
In what many thought would be a period of almost non-activity from President Obama's administration, the president moved to make one of the boldest and most influential moves of his presidency this week. Since Congress has not passed an immigration bill that has been pushed for multiple years, President Obama announced on Wednesday that he will bypass Congress with his own plan, which he detailed in a primetime address to the nation on Thursday evening, though it was not picked up by any major networks. President Obama said the following in his speech last night.
So we're going to offer the following deal. If you've been in America for more than 5 years, if you have children who are American citizens or legal residents, if you register, pass a criminal background check, and you're willing to pay your fair share of taxes, you'll be able to apply to stay in this country temporarily without fear of deportation. You can come out of the shadows and get right with the law.
The deal will also offer to extend the stay of foreign graduates of U.S. colleges with high-tech skills. Deportation will now focus on gang members, suspected terrorists, felons, and anyone who has arrived since January 1st, 2014. An NBC News and Wall Street Journal poll released on Wednesday indicates that 48% of those polled disapprove of President Obama's taking executive action on immigration, while 38% approve and 14% have no opinion, meaning that the majority of the country is against this action. Republicans are vowing to fight the executive action every step of the way and are mobilizing opposition and arguing that the president is overstepping his authority. Both Republicans and Democrats are gearing up for a long legal fight. The White House argues that 7 modern presidents, starting with Eisenhower, took executive action to deal with immigration problems, though it has never affected this many people before. Those presidents are John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, President Nixon, Reagan, H.W. Bush, and W. Bush. The president has said that he has waited long enough for Congress to pass legislation and that he is taking action because Congress will not. In his speech, President Obama also addressed this issue, saying, quote, "To those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer: pass a bill. I want to work with both parties to pass a more permanent legislative solution, and the day I sign that bill into law, the actions I will take will no longer be necessary," end quote. On a side note, on behalf of everyone here at the studio, I'd like to wish our very own Umira Savani a happy 21st birthday this week.
Thank you, Nick.
Oh, you're welcome, Big Ooms. All right, everyone, thank you. My pleasure. That's all from this desk. We're off next week. Have a fun and safe Thanksgiving break. After the promos, we'll be back with the Xavier Sports Report. Happy Friday, Xavier fans, and welcome to another edition of the Xavier Sports Report. I'm Nick Bergman. Teamwork for the Muskie men's soccer made the dream work last night as the team advanced in the NCAA tournament with a 2-1 win over Monmouth. Freshman Alex Risdale knocked in one of the biggest goals in program history in the 103rd minute to seal the Xavier victory. 14th ranked Xavier moves on to its second appearance in the second round in 3 years with the win. It was chosen to host the game during Monday's selection show. Quote, "I told the guys at halftime to survive the game," end quote. Head coach Andy Fleming explained after winning his 60th game at Xavier. He added that, quote, "I was very proud of our response in the second half," end quote. After scoring his landmark goal, Risdale said, quote, "This is my first year at Xavier and it's been a brilliant year so far. Obviously, I don't want to stop now," end quote. The Musketeers will now travel to Bloomington, Indiana to face the Hoosiers this Sunday at 1:04 p.m. The game will be televised in the Big Ten Network. The men's basketball team continues its 4-game homestand tonight, hosting Stephen F. Austin at 8 p.m. at Cintas Center. Xavier is undefeated so far this season, riding a 3-game win streak into the matchup. Their most recent win was a 97-64 beatdown of Long Beach State Tuesday. I was in attendance, in which freshman phenom Trayvon Blewett led the team with 18 points. It was really a barn burner. The Muskies' 13 three-pointers, spurred by J.P. McCurra and Miles Davis, is the team's highest total since 2011. Stephen F. Austin is 1-1 on the year, their most recent decision an overtime loss to Northern Iowa on Tuesday. Both the Musketeers and the Jackrabbits made the 2014 NCAA tournament. Once again, it's a different story for the Lady Musketeers. The women's basketball team suffered its first loss of the season to the Virginia Cavaliers, 71-62 on Wednesday. The girls dropped to a 2-1 on the season. The Cavaliers went 7 for 12 from the floor to open the game, taking an early lead. Xavier responded with 11 unanswered points, but the Cavs struck back to take a 12-point lead at halftime. The Muskies outscored Virginia 37-34 in the second half, but a 15-2 run by the Cavaliers sealed the win. XU had a UVA defector on its side. Virginia transfer Rayshawn Gaffney led the team with 15 points, while Leah Schaefer crashed the boards for 5 rebounds. The Lady Musketeers play their first road game tonight against Binghamton at 7 p.m. Fans can listen to the game at goxavier.com for free. Athletic Director Greg Christopher named XU alum Doug Matthews interim tennis coach on Tuesday. Matthews replaces Eric Toth, who recently resigned to take the same position at the University of Cincinnati. Matthews, a Xavier tennis standout from 2005 to 2009, spent the last 4 years as an assistant coach at X. As a player, he led the Muskies to back-to-back Atlantic 10 championships his junior and senior years, and the team's first appearance in the NCAA tournament from 2008 to 2009. He also won the Atlantic 10 Rookie of the Year award his freshman year and was named to all-conference team his entire career. Let's hope Matthews can continue his success where he found on the court at Xavier as a player, on the sideline as head coach. That's all for this edition of the Xavier Sports Report. Good luck to all our athletes this weekend. I'm Nick Bergman, and we're off for Thanksgiving holiday next weekend, so we won't be here. But for everyone here at the studio, enjoy the games, have a great weekend, and have a fun and safe Thanksgiving break.